Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, baseball fans. Welcome back to Barstool Baseball. It's Monday, it's Carl, and this is a power ranking panel show. As always, I'm joined by Castellani, Hubbs, and Clemmer. It's also opening day for the NFL. This is a huge day, guys, so let's put together a fucking solid show. I'm looking around, I just see a bunch of dead eyeballs right now as zombies. Everybody's just ready for football. No, my friends, we're finishing this fucking baseball season strong. Isn't that right, Clemmer?
Yes, absolutely. It is. I mean, people are hearing this. It's Monday, and my Jets are getting ready to stomp all over the Bills. But yeah, I mean, this is NFL slang. The NFL weekend is great. NFL's back. It's awesome. But this is also like one of the great times of the year. You have, like, if you're a sports fan, you got September baseball pennant races coming together, and then you got October, which is the greatest month ever. Playoffs, World Series, NFL Sundays. Yes, let's go fall.
Yeah, I asked before we recorded the show, is it better to do it Sunday night after everything is played out? Hubbs instantly was like, dude, we've got U.S. Open finals. We've got Sunday night football. I've got all night. There's so much shit going on today. It's important that we just get it in at the start, right?
Yeah, I wanted to be selfish, like, for the one time in my life. And I was like, guys, I can't. My brain is small. It cannot manage all of that at once. Let's just get this going in the morning. Just want to make a quick note. This is the first episode of this show with Chris Clemmer as the owner of the New York City Barstool office. So, yeah. So, you lead the way here. This is your show, basically, and you tell me what to do.
Not true at all. Not true at all. And we all know that you, the second I see you on Monday, you're just going to make fun of me for being old and throw more shade at me for no reason, and make fun of my Mets, just because, Tubbs is just speaking moralized.
Oh, yeah.
We try to avoid as much of Barstool drama on this show as possible. This is a national baseball show. Clemmer, you leave the show for 5 fucking seconds and you go into the office and you just raise hell. Like we're going to get the show cut.
I don't think that's the case. I love Barstool baseball show. It's a good show.
Attaboy. Castellani, welcome. It's good to see you. I'm sorry in advance when the Lions break your heart this season.
You know what? Right now, riding high. I'm gonna feel pretty good for the next 7 days. I did say it'd be the most Lions shit ever to go on the road, beat the Chiefs, come back home, and then lose to Seattle, just letting the air out of the balloon. But right now, don't even have to stress during a football Sunday. Lions are 1-0.
And
the
Bears,
nothing feels better than when your team wins that Thursday night game, and you can just enjoy the Sunday games and be just relax, and it's a great feeling. That doesn't happen very often in my Jets, but when it does happen, it's a great feeling.
This is also the first time the Packers and the Bears are playing each other this year. I'm a diehard Bears fan. Hubbs is a diehard Packers fan, which I think should be an interesting wrinkle as we get in through the rest of this baseball season. There should be some good shit talking. For now, though, we got to rank the top 9 teams in baseball. The format's been laid. I'm going to go over it again. We've got a batting order 1 through 4. We repeat that batting order 5 through 8, and then we come together to pick the 9th team. Our first hitter today, I can't fucking remember. Is it Castellani?
It's me. Yep.
All right. Number 1 is Castellani. Number 2 is
me,
Hubbs. Number 3 is Clemmer. And number 4 is myself. Castellani, Hubbs, Clemmer, myself. That's a batting order. Castellani, get us started. Who's the number 1 team in baseball this week?
I mean, it's not just this week. It's been the last several months. It's been all year. It's the Atlanta Braves. No denying it at this point. The only thing is how quickly are they going to wrap up the division? How many games are they going to win? And will Ronald Acuna end up being American or National League MVP? I think he will. Guy homers every single day at this point. A well-oiled machine. And right now, knock on wood for them. One thing they really have going for them going into October, health and durability. They have not had. That's the advantage of having a young core. Injuries are kind of down. The biggest injury they had this season that I can recall is Max Fried. He's back. He's shoving. They're fully operational Death Star right now. Atlanta Braves number 1.
Well said. Fully operational Death Star. No complaints here. Although anybody want to throw some shade at the Braves going into the playoffs? Any concerns that are starting to pop up, or do you feel as good as we do last week when we talked about them as a historic team?
If anything, like everyone else, and we're going to talk about the Dodgers in a second, but for everything else, everyone's just falling out. Everyone's getting weaker, and they're just being like, yeah, we don't know about injuries and all this, and your pitcher's arm's falling off. We're fine. Like, we're just going to keep mashing. We're keep doing our thing. When the Atlanta Braves, we're going to destroy you.
Yeah, and even like their issues, like, so I was like, I don't know, Bryce Elder, he hasn't looked that great. He had a rough, had a 4.88 ERA in August, a 5.96 in July. Well, the last 2 starts, he's got a 2.08 ERA. So like even he seems to be figuring it out. And like Hubs is exactly right. Like putting together this list, everyone else is dropping back, but the Braves just keep rising. It's like this was by 2 through 9, I had to think about some things. Braves won. And Chris, I got to say, you talk about Acuna win MVP. I think that's done, guys. He's got it. I think we can kind of move on. And he's the MVP.
Yeah, I think with Mookie being a little bit banged up too, I think it kind of cements it. Yeah.
I want to say I'm sick and fucking tired of hearing about stolen base counts now. Everybody, every day, has got a new 25 stolen base, 25 homer, 10 doubles. First guy to have 15 triples and 30 stolen bases. There's bigger bases. It's way easier to steal them. Pitchers can't pick. I'm sick and tired of it. I saw the Ronald Acuna stolen base count. There's got to be a way over time where we recognize that this is a different era to steal bases, because I'm sick and tired.
This is what I said this a couple weeks ago. I said it's like he is doing it at a pace better than everyone else, but we need to find like an equivalent like calculator to be like, what is, because it is easier to do right now. Like, and some people are doing it way better than others, no doubt, and they should be credited for that. Like, this is a historic season. But we do need to take a step back with stolen bases, I think, and be like, yeah, it's just like way easier to do right now.
See, I disagree to some extent. It is way easier. I understand. But for most of baseball history, this is how baseball was played. It's only because, you guys are a little younger and you guys only know, honestly, like from 95 till like last year, that's the anomaly. That's the exception to the rule. Baseball always, stolen bases were a major part of baseball, basically since every year before you guys were born. So like Tim Ray, go through it and go through even the 70s and go through the 60s. Stolen bases were Maury Wills. Stolen bases were a major part of how baseball was played. I kind of like that we're going back to the way it really always was.
Oh, it's not a bad thing. I think stolen bases are one of the more exciting things you can have in the sport. Like, obviously a triple inside the park one, but like a thing that happens regularly, like stolen base is very exciting. But that doesn't mean like we can't acknowledge that it, like within these construct of the rules, like it's easier to accomplish. And like that, like Acuna is taking advantage of that, and as he should, and it's going to only increase his value and, and get him, this MVP. So, but it is easier to do. We need to acknowledge that.
It is easier, yes, and it's also become more of a focus of teams, which is what I like. It's become part of the philosophy of winning baseball games. Like I said, which is such a huge... In the 80s, like, stolen bases were how you won for a lot of teams. Look at the Cardinals, 82, 85, 87. They won those pennants because of the stolen base. I think they had one year where the only person they had to hit over like 15 home runs was Jack Clark.
Yeah.
Because they stole bases like... I think it was 87. It's insane what a big deal stolen bases really were. And I'm glad we're going back to that.
You could also argue, though, back when stolen bases were super hot in the 80s, power wasn't a big thing. So there's a merging of strategies coming together.
It's just different philosophies. And it's also, and they had a easier time in the 70s and 80s because the artificial turf was almost like a track and you could really run faster. So every era has their advantages and disadvantages. And it is, Hubs, you're right. It is important to kind of always notate that and like understand that. But at the same token, like, I'm all in. This is great. Bring it.
I one quick note to end that. It'll be very fascinating to see how stolen bases play a factor in October. What speed demons are going to be on the roster that you didn't really see a whole lot of throughout the year, just because it's going to be so important to have any kind of speed, available off the bench to just fucking swipe second or third in a pinch running situation in the 8th and 9th, and it's so much easier to do that now. So I'm fascinated to see, and they said the rules are going to stay the same with the pitch clock. I think that was announced this week or last week. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I wish there was like an extra 5 seconds, but overall, I think it's gonna be added to October is already unbelievable, but like this will get it even more exciting.
Hubs, I couldn't agree more. I think it's going to play a major role in the playoffs because you think those games are usually closer, usually lower scoring because you have higher quality pitchers. I think that there's no question in my mind, stolen base is going to play a major, major, major impact in these games. Because, think of how many playoff games did we watch where it's 5-3 in the 8th, 4-3 in the 9th. And a stolen base, Dave Roberts, Johnny Damon with the Yankees, a stolen base can make a huge difference in the game. And now you have, kind of an easier way to do it now. This is going to be exceptional.
Number 2. Could be some shakeup here.
That'd be me. I got the O's here. They have done their job of distancing away from the Rays a little bit, and he did it in a week where the Rays didn't have a bad week. Like, the Rays should show up here, I think, fairly soon, not too low in the rankings, in my opinion. The Orioles didn't lose a game this week, as you recording this Sunday morning. They have 90 wins, which is just an incredible accomplishment for everyone in that organization. You have 3-4 weeks to go here. I can't do math, but they've been incredible. Kyle Bradish, have to give another shout out to him. Since July 1st. And this is a guy who's, on the younger side, and innings might, creep up on him and add a toll to that arm. He's been incredible since July 1st. Only getting better by the second. He's got a 2.32 ERA in 12 starts since July 1st. Over 73 innings. Opponents, I believe, they're about 202 against him. He's just shut him down. He is their bona fide ace. He's been great. Grayson Rodriguez continues to pitch well. They've got big question marks from, obviously, Jack Flaherty. It's just not good. It's just bad. You just can't be used in any real winning situation here. But look at Saturday. They outslugged the Red Sox 13-12, officially ending Boston season, in my opinion. And yeah, they just we've been worrying about the Rays, they still are 4 games and 5 in the loss. It's still there. It could still happen. But the Orioles did a very good job this week of distancing themselves and giving themselves a little bit of a cushion in the AL East to take on that division title. So yeah, I have the Orioles here too.
Kyle Bradish has thrown a quality start, 6 of his last 7 starts. The Orioles are 7-0 in his last 7 starts.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's funny because and I think we've been correct in our, kind of questioning of that pitching rotation, but those two, these 2 young pitchers have really come into their own. I mean, Grayson's been great since being called up from AAA. I mean, if they can just be serviceable in October, there's a chance potentially that Felix Bautista could come back. It seems like he's playing catch right now. If he does, and that bullpen is back to where it was, we can keep. I feel weird with the Orioles because I've been questioning them all year. Is it sustainable for them to win the division? Do they have the rotation to do it? Do they have the experience to do it? And they just keep getting it done. That's a really good point you bring up, Hubs. The Rays have been playing well. I feel like they've won a lot of games over the last month. It'd be very easy for a young team to start to kind of feel the footsteps. They haven't. They've just kept taking care of business. I had them at number 2 as well.
The Orioles, to me, are the Kardashians. I don't understand why they're popular. I watch it. I don't really comprehend what I'm seeing. But at some point, you have to realize the Kardashians are incredibly successful. The Orioles, I don't understand what I'm watching. I can't believe. I look at the numbers. I'm trying to crunch it, make sense of it. At some point, I have to say, this is a successful team. They're on pace for 103 wins. All they do is win. They are in one of the toughest divisions in baseball, and they are kicking the shit at everyone. They lose their closer, next man up. They're getting it done. Brandon Hyde is exceptional. This team, the way it's built, is just wildly awesome on a lot of levels. And not only that, but they have, and maybe the best prospect in baseball is going to join the team next year. So hats off the Orioles. This has been an amazing season, and they are easily the number 2 team here.
You're talking about Jackson Holliday?
I am.
What was the story this past week? Jackson Holliday was confused for being like a youth or a minor, or someone he had to show ID to check into a team hotel, or they didn't believe he was a minor league baseball player.
I believe it. I mean, he's young and he's a force every single level he joins. So it's
and
wild.
He's considered better than all of the prospects that have turned into great players for him. He's the best young player that the Orioles have coming
by far. His hit tool is ridiculous. It's just he's going to come up and just destroy everything and make the team even better, which is so hard to believe because even these young guys and how well they're performing, they're just going to get better. This is so early in their career, and then you're going to add the best one on top of that? Fuck that. Let's realign the divisions.
Hey, finally, less than 3 weeks less in the season, I believe, regular season, and here we are applauding the Orioles for just being so good. Not poking holes, It took us this long. Week 25, week 24, whatever this is. We're finally there. Who's the third best team in baseball?
Yeah, so it's more of a non-answer than an answer. And maybe we can kind of have the discussion here. My third team is not the Dodgers. So then it comes to, I have the Astros here, but I'm willing to have the Rays discussion as well. The reason I have the Astros ahead of the Rays, which to me is a total coin toss, and like I said, I'm kind of willing to kind of put up more to the panel here, is just because I feel like the Astros have a better chance of winning the division, if that makes any sense. Like, I guess I value that more. But then again, like the Rays have a better record. But I just think the Astros, to me, are a more complete team, I guess. The pitching staff, although the back end of their pitching staff isn't particularly great either. I don't know. What do you guys think? I guess my question is this: Astros or Rays? What are we thinking here, boys?
I would say Tampa. Tampa's playing more consistent baseball right now.
They are.
It's crazy that with the drop off of Wander, you would expect them to not do that, considering how good he is. They haven't missed a beat. Like, they just handle their business. And yeah, they're probably not going to win the division, as I just talked about. But if we're going to compare the way those two teams are, like, I don't know, the Astros are a few days away, a week separated from getting swept at home by the Yankees. So, like, I think Tampa is just playing different baseball right now than them.
I think I'm going to go with Hubs there, because originally I had it the other way around, but so much of how I feel about the Astros is boosted by their resume, by what they've done 17 through 22, defending world champions. Houston has been at points, and look, they were leading that division, bizarrely inconsistent. Like, they're not a very good team at Minute Maid Park, which is weird because that's just been a house of horrors for opponents over the last several seasons. The Rays, for all the controversy, all the injuries, they have been as consistent as any team in baseball this year. There's been ebbs and flows to it. I know they got off to that ridiculously hot start. They're becoming more dangerous to me because they've gotten a lot of clutch hits. And while the pitching injuries will catch up to him eventually, Glass now is finally pitching like the pitcher that people have acted like he is over the last several years. Big, tall righty, nasty stuff. He's been shoving. Eflin's been great. Yeah, I'm fine with them at 3. Yeah, and also I think we do need to mention that, like, the Dodgers pitching injuries are the reason why they're not 2 or 3 right. It's not performance based. I just figured we'd bring that up. But yeah,
I mean, the Astros, the thing about the Astros too is, like, they're barely going to win 90 games. They're on pace to win right now, like 91, 92 games. And they have a tough stretch coming up the last couple of weeks. They're all kind of, the AOS teams are all going to kind of cannibalize themselves. The Rays are going to win 90 games, no problem. I think that's important to me.
Yeah, I'm shifting and looking at this now just over the last week. We can make these great arguments about who's a stronger team going to the playoffs. Just over the last week, the Rays went 2-0 in their series. The Rays took a series at home against the Mariners. The Rays took a series against the Red Sox. And you can just look at it as simple as that. Like, I like the fact that the Astros came back and swept the Rangers after getting swept by the Yankees. And the first game after that, they get their fucking doors blown off by the Padres. So as we're kind of talking about how close things are, I'm more inclined to just go back to this week's results and see who really is playing a better, more consistent brand of baseball. And to me, that's the Tampa Rays.
Yep.
The Rays are better set up for the playoffs, I think, from a pitching perspective. Like, they have a decent, 1, 2, 3, are very good, actually better than decent. A very good 1, 2, 3. You have Eflin, Glass now, and I really like Aaron Savali. The Astros don't really have that. Like, they have 5 5 okay pitchers. But other than even Framber, I don't trust those guys the same way I would trust the Rays pitchers.
At the same time, though, once October switches, I
don't know.
Don't you see Framber and Verlander out there and you're like, they're going to be fine.
I have Framber and Verlander. I don't know if they will be fine, honestly. I don't think there's a magic potion you drink in October that makes you
they might have it. So if there's a team that has it, it's them.
I mean, you could have said that about him. Guys get old. I mean, you could have said it about Catfish Hunter too. And then eventually you just break down. Guys get old. You can have great postseason success, and eventually just kind of you get old. Jerry Rice was a great receiver, and I wouldn't want him playing, for my team in the postseason now. He's old. Guys get old. It happens.
Clemmer, I hope you're right. I hope you are. I just see that whole roster, and then once October happens, they flip a switch. Once they get in, we'll see what happens, and then they're just better than everyone. I've seen this story before. It's fucking frustrating.
And keep in mind, in 2 of his 4 starts in October last year, Verlander was terrible.
He was.
and they still won the World Series. So I get your point, but like I think there might be enough depth there where they can.
Who's their 3 starter, Chris?
It's bad.
Who starts game 3?
No, you're right. There's a depth.
And who starts game 4? If they go to a best of 7.
4 is a really big problem.
Like, who 3 is a big problem.
Yeah.
I really don't know who that would be.
I guess it would be Javier.
Okay,
he's been bad,
not
man.
good this year.
No, he has. Yeah, but that would be my guess. Like, I don't know. It's not Hunter Brown.
No, he's running out of gas, which I understand. Young guy, that's fine. I'm sure he'll be very good next year. JP France, same thing as Hunter Brown. He's completely turning into a pumpkin. And then, like, who else is there? I don't know.
Opposite that, who else is there has a better 1-2 over the last 3 years in these situations than Verlander and Valdez? Now, maybe this year they're not as hot and you can find better pitching right now. But if you talk about the pedigree and the October pitcher, historically speaking, fucking Verlander and Valdez is about as good as a 1-2 can get. So I think there is room to be weak 3-4.
I don't.
Would you rather have Spencer Strider and Max Fried, or would you rather have Justin Verlander or Framber Valdez for this postseason?
Ooh, for this one,
Strider and
yeah.
Fried. I'd rather have Eflin and Glasnow than Verlander and Valdez.
That's a take.
Bookmark that one.
It's really not that crazy.
It's pretty crazy, though.
I don't think it is.
It's a little bit.
I know we all watch those games. Watch those guys pitch. It's different. Those guys are better pitchers right now than Framber. And Framber's the guy you could say the light switch could come on. I mean, the guy throws a no-hitter and then gets knocked. I don't know what if Framber could figure it out, then he's dangerous. Verlander, I think, is what you see is what you get.
I got to go back to the AL East preview where I talked about Zach Eflin emerging as a dominant frontline pitcher now that he plays for the Rays. I had that take.
I said he'd be a free agent bust, so I'm an idiot.
It's more about the Rays. I'm up 4th here. We're comfortable here with the Rays 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rays 3. Then I'm going to take the Astros 4. And again, it goes back to Dodgers pitching. Thank you for isolating that off the start, so we don't have to spend too much time on this with the Dodgers. They had the best 1-2 punch, in my opinion, between Mookie and Freddie. We've talked so much about what makes them special. The caveat has been the starting pitching with them. It's been injuries. It's been obviously Urias as fuck. Kershaw with the velocity. Young guys look good for a second. Young guys don't look good. It's so confusing. Makes it very difficult to buy into the Dodgers. All the reasons we just talked about the Astros too. We did a roster wars exercise with the Astros on Friday. Just the amount of solid homegrown guys. If they don't have a superstar, they've got a solid homegrown guy who plays his fucking dick off. Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena, Martin Maldonado. They fucking love him. But then you're just surrounded by Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman and Jordan Alvarez, and just the sense of them clicking. This is the Astros team we've talked about all season. And they were hot in August. They were very hot in August. They were just a tick behind the Seattle Mariners in offensive numbers, and pitching, and all that shit. So they are clicking at the right time. I got them 4.
Yeah, no disagreement for me at this point. They have found it's weird because weren't they 8th last week? I mean, it just goes to show their kind of level of inconsistency where they can have a week where we're thinking they're falling off, and then they'll bounce back with a week like what they had this week. I do legitimately think the struggles on the at home are a legit concern, but it's still Houston. Good spot at 4.
So if they were 8th last week, I think it speaks also to the parity of baseball. Like, we have all these teams other than the Braves. Like, I feel like and the Orioles, I got to give them credit. Braves and Orioles are in their own stratosphere. Everyone else, I feel like you could just throw it up all in the air and just pick it out of a hat. And it's hard to really argue one team is that much better than the other ones. I think it's going to lead to a really interesting playoffs where this many good teams have this many weaknesses.
I agree. I think we're in store for some of the best playoffs I can remember.
One thing I came across this week, so I'm not, I'm a Yankee fan, but here and there, I will get zoned in on another team. And I went on the Astros Reddit, and they just fucking hate Dusty Baker. They are so done. The way he handles Chas McCormick and how he doesn't play him. He's played him, I think, he's only started half of the games in September so far. And they just can't, it doesn't make any sense the way he handles Diaz as well. Like, they are so fed up with Dusty Baker. And it's funny, too, because, this is a guy who's brought a World Series to his team. And and they just are so done with the way he handles the roster and like his old school ways. It's very funny to watch.
He took that job when no one else wanted it. They should love him.
Right. You would think so, but
McCormick's having an insane season.
And he just doesn't play consistently.
It's wild. Like, the guy has 20 home runs. He has played 97 games. He has an OPS plus of 141. And you mentioned I was mispronouncing his name. I'm sorry. Yenair Diaz. I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure.
That's good enough. You've done way worse than that.
He's got OPS plus of 125. His slugging is 537. He's got 21 home runs in 93 games.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. I when I put the Dodgers game, I'm like, where? And not only that, McCormick is fucking fun to watch defensively. He's a wild
He's
man.
a really good player.
He's awesome. And then you have this rest of this lineup. If you look at their typical lineup there, most guys do not have an OPS plus of over even 97. It's like, you have two good hitters on your bench. Play them.
Well said. They have roster issues because Mauricio Dubon's pretty good. Jake Myers gets his time in center field. Left field is interesting with Jordan Alvarez. Is he playing left field? Is he DHing Chase? They have a number of players that people would, I would imagine, want to see in lineup, Astros fans. There's so many different combinations between a couple different positions, and now that Altuve's back healthy, I think adds a little bit more frustration in putting a lineup card together. Because what do you do with Dubon? Where do you put McCormick if Alvarez wants to play the field? I think he's a guy who likes playing the field because then that makes him a better hitter or impacts his confidence. Some guys like that. It's a mix. And honestly, Dusty Baker's the fucking guy to manage that mix. That's very funny that Astros fans don't like him right now. Any other arguments? I think as we get to 5 here, this could open up the door for some nuanced conversation. So, Castellani, take it away.
Yeah, this is interesting because I think the theme of this show will be how far the Dodgers going to fall, because they've already, they've been consistently at 2 over the last several weeks, even probably months. So there's like 3 teams that I'm kind of tossing around because I don't want to drop the Dodgers too much. Like, that roster is still phenomenal. The offense is still going to mash. And look, I know the rotation's decimated, but like, you still have Kershaw there. You still have some established guys, but obviously they've taken a hit. Right now, the records are the records. I'm looking at, how close are these teams to winning a World Series? Like, who has the highest likelihood of being the last team standing? And right now, I think of the remaining teams, the Mariners have the best shot with their pitching staff of winning the whole thing. So I have them at 5, but I'm open to discussion here. They didn't have the best week necessarily, though. I think their August was more of an anomaly, but offense is heating up. Cal Raleigh's been hot. J-Rod's just been unbelievable. I mean, this is just him and Trey Turner in their respective leagues have been Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire the last month and a half. It's bizarre. So I'm going with them at 5 right now, but I'm gonna open the floor here because I want to see what you guys think.
I mean, likelihood of winning the World Series. I mean, to take the other side of it, which I don't, if I 1,000% agree with, the Dodgers are going to make the playoffs. I mean, there's a chance that the Mariners don't even make October. So, I mean, you got to, I think, somewhat consider they're about a game and a half away from being out of the playoffs. That's concerning. I also think the George Kirby thing is the kind of thing that can make teams kind of implode a little bit. Do
you want to walk back some comments? Because you said not long ago that you liked George Kirby in October. Does that change?
It does. I was really disappointed with that. I like George Kirby in October because of the way he pitches. He doesn't walk anyone. He throws strikes. He attacks hitters. It's almost like he pitches the opposite of his personality, where he pitches like a bulldog, and then he comes out. He's like, I don't know if I want to pitch anymore, guys. I'm awful. That's a conversation you have with your pitching coach, I think, and the manager. Be like, hey, just so you guys know, after 90, I felt a little worn down. You can have that conversation. When you go to the media, you're basically saying, yeah, my manager wants me to get hurt, and my manager's putting me in a situation I can't succeed. And I think that's a different discussion to have. And the way he did it too is pouting. He looks sad. It was just not a good look. He's a young guy. I get it, and it's, but that was not good.
Bro, nail on the head. I can understand. Sometimes I watch Garrett Cole, and his pitch count might not be the highest, and he just doesn't have it. And he's cooked and he's gassed, and he doesn't pitch anymore. You're like, that's it. He only goes 6 innings where he's at 98 pitches. You think, oh, you can go 110. Like some guys are just like gassed and water. Maybe it's the weather conditions or whatever. But bro, don't say that to the media. There's no good that can come out of that conversation on your end or anyone's end by saying that to the media. What are you like? There's just no common sense. There's no way he had a conversation with anyone before that. Be like, oh, I'm going to tell the media this, and they were like, great idea. It's like, what the fuck? Like, do not do that. Like it just makes you look like a pussy, and it creates this like cloud over now like. The pitching coach and the manager. It's just like, George Kirby, dude, you're ever really, what are you doing? That just, Maris had a good thing going here, and then that's just going to create a lot of questions.
Well, that was the most bizarre part to me is it's like, this came out of Seattle. Like, Seattle's good vibes. Like, they got fucking J-Rod show. Like, Scott Service does a good job. Like, if Mike Clevenger on the south side of Chicago ranted about his manager, like, not taking him out, I'd be like, okay, that's White Sox clubhouse dysfunction. Ever like Seattle? Wow. I thought things would be a little bit more tight-lipped. My counterpoint to that, though, man, 2 appearances for George Kirby last October, a year younger, 1 inning save in that wild comeback against the Blue Jays, 7 scoreless in Game 3 against the ALDS against the Astros. Like, I understand this is kind of an ugly moment, but when the guy pitches, he has the potential to be lights out, and also in those 8 innings, only 1 walk. So yeah, it's we'll see, but definitely a rough look.
We'll see where this goes with his performance, because I think this is the type of thing that can impact him. A lot of people are talking shit about this guy now. He went from being like young, not on anybody's radar other than being a strike-throwing, dominant, younger pitcher with a bright future. Now when he gets on the mound, the opposing team is going to be looking at him like a little bitch. Like everybody, the umpires are going to be like, oh, this fucking guy. Everybody at the stadium, like George Kirby has a lot to make up for that comment, because it's such a grossly, poorly fucking put together sentiment. Awful. Every veteran pitcher, every pitcher I follow on Twitter that's retired that had significance enough for me to follow him, from Derek Holland and Dan Heron and fucking Roger Clemens, Jared Weaver, anybody with an opinion online is shitting on George Kirby, and rightfully so. But that's some of the worst shit I've ever seen without throwing teammates or being over the top negative. It just casually looked as bad as you could possibly look. Last question I have for my East Coast guys. What's Rye, New York like? What is Westchester, Rye, New York like? Isn't that super affluent and fucking nice? Because that's where George Kirby's from. And that gives me that little sense of, you pussy.
I'll put it this way. The owner of the Rays, Stu Sternberg, he lives in Rye.
Fuck. That's what it's a Rye guy then. That I immediately was like, where is this kid from? He's got to be from a place where daddy sends you to prep school and mommy fucking buys you new pastels every spring. I don't like it. Trade George Kirby. Little bitch.
I'm expecting him, by the way, to walk back all those comments.
Oh, he already did.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
He did yesterday. Yeah, he apologized yesterday. Yeah.
All right. I mean, honestly, too, the other thing you got to do, young guy, make mistakes, apologizes, all right.
So we still got him at 5, right? Where you guys are code the Mariners at 5.
Yeah, like honestly,
I don't hate it.
5, 6, 7, interchangeable to me.
Yes.
Like, I know that's crazy to like maybe even say like the Dodgers are worthy of 7, where we've had them at 3 or 2 for the most last couple weeks. Like, those injuries, man, are just so bad. Like, they are in a really, really bad spot with their pitching.
We're trending back towards early power ranking shows too, early in the season, where we had one National League team and then just a train of American League teams. That started to shift around June. We saw more National League teams come in, but now at the top, there's just a lot of American League teams that are a notable step behind the Braves.
So yeah, I'm fine with them at 5. I'm fine with them at 5.
Me too.
So that would leave me. So to me, this goes either way of Brewers, Dodgers, because the Brewers haven't done anything bad, and we had them, 5 last week or something. They lost a series to the Pirates. Not great. They've then just obliterated the Yankees and zapped any hope from like the delusional fans that we had to like maybe we can make a run if we just go 18-5 the rest of the way, which was never going to happen, but like it was there, I guess. That's gone. So credit to the Brewers for just like ending that. Thank you. I still go. I think I'm going Dodgers here still. Like I can't justify, I think, dropping him 7. I just can't do that for the group. So you still got Mookie Betts, you still got Freddie Freeman. Mookie avoided anything crazy. I think the latest update, like with the crutches, that was more of just like precautionary, and he's okay. The pitching is a disaster. No Walker Buehler, like Gonsolin cooked, like Urias gone, like whoa. There's a lot of questions here, and if there's one team you tell, like them versus the Braves in a playoff series now might get very bad. Like I don't know who's getting outs for them against the best lineup we've seen in decades. But for the rankings here, and who I think can win a first round playoff series, and I think when we're September 10th, we kind of got to start thinking like that. We're that late in the season. And if like the Dodgers, this is a Clemmerism. The Dodgers played the Brewers. I'm still favoring the Dodgers. I think they'd find a way. It probably won't be straightforward, like it was maybe a couple weeks ago. Brewers might win a game or two. Still got the Dodgers. I have the Dodgers here at 6.
It's ironic because we have the Dodgers at 6. They dropped 4 spots. They're still the second highest rated National League team on these rankings. Like last week, I said I felt like their ceiling was probably World Series, but a week ago I said, yeah, they'll probably lose to the Braves in the NLCS. With everything that's happened, I still say, yeah, they're probably going to lose to the Braves in the NLCS. Like I still think they're the second best team in the National League. One thing too, just to look out for, and as maybe just a little caveat going into October if you're a believer in the storylines. I have a feeling this might be it for Clayton Kershaw, and I could see. You don't think so? You see, I think he might be done. I don't know why. It's just a vibes thing. He's kind of been quiet this year. I could see them, rolling him out there, seeing if they can get one last run, and then there's been rumors about it forever, but just something to throw out there. But Dodgers 6.
He did get his 200th win this year, Chris. So at that point, he kind of hit that milestone. I was kind of waiting for him to do that before I started wondering, but I don't know. I mean, he's still very young to retire. So, and he's 35. I don't know.
I think he's done in LA. And I think Carl will agree with this. You've always kind of said this. He ends in Texas. Like he's going to end. He'll have 1 year, and especially with how good they are. Maybe not right now. But they're going to be able. They're going to use an arm. Like you're not going to have DeGrom next year. So like, I could definitely see Kershaw there next year to finish out his career.
He's the perfect Band-Aid for that, right?
Yeah.
Like with DeGrom not being there next year, you could just sign Kershaw to a 1-year deal, and then you can figure it out the next year when DeGrom is back. Maybe, Kershaw is rejuvenated, wants to pitch again. Yep. But regardless, that's kind of the perfect situation, I think.
But I agree with Chris. Like, it does feel like there's an end of something, and I think it's the end of his LA career is this year.
The Dodgers, by the way, too, we should mention, I'm definitely down on them because their pitching staff. But they do have 221 home runs as a team this year, which is remarkable. That offense is pretty healthy, as horrible as the starting pitching's been decimated. So they can go win. And I do think, the pitching staff, look, it's a mess. But if Kershaw is okay, I know his velocity is way down. I'm very concerned. Also, I didn't like that he had 5 walks that start. Kershaw, Bobby Miller, Lance Lynn, and this Ryan Peepoy guy. I'm not saying his name right. 7 innings, scoreless baseball his last start. He's 25. If he's that, like, I'm just saying, I mean, I know I'm throwing stuff against the wall here, but there's worse stuff to throw against the wall than that. Those are 4 decent enough arms with a pretty good bullpen that's pretty healthy. I could see them winning some playoff series. Like, it's not that crazy with those 4 guys.
It's just tough to rely on a rookie as your 2.
And a rookie as your 4. And Lance Lynn is your 3. And a busted up Clayton Kershaw is your 1.
And your 1 isn't a bona fide 1. He's just like, he's the elder statesman who's just alive right now. He's the only one who's left. And he's hanging on by a thread, as you said, with his velo just dipping. So, like, they're human beings there to pitch who I know the names of. That's a start, but like, we'll see. But I do think, to bring us around for, I just think they're in a better spot than the Brewers, like because of that lineup.
Yeah,
that lineup gets you places. So
I got no problem with the Dodgers at 6 here.
Me either.
Cool. But that then does bring us to 7, which I'm confident we would say the Brewers.
I'm not confident. So it's me. I have 3 teams ahead of them, actually. the Phillies. I guess two teams. Excuse me. The Phillies, the Blue Jays, and the Brewers are my rankings. I think the Phillies, to me, the Blue Jays and Brewers, I think is the Brewers have that great 1-2-3. The Blue Jays, I have more talent but are underachieving. I think the Phillies are kind of like a nice combination of both, and that's why I have them here. And it's not like I think they're that much better than the Brewers. I think it's very close, so I'm not going to like fight too hard if you guys really push back on me on this. But the Phillies just are the best, have the most talent, 1 through 26, in my opinion, of every team in the National League except for the Braves. I think that they are built for the playoffs. I like that pitching staff a lot. I like that lineup. It's super deep. 9 guys in that team have 9 or more home runs. I know that's kind of an arbitrary number, but it just goes to show you there's no easy outs in that lineup. There's no one you can look at and be like, all right, this should be a cakewalk. Here with the Astros, you could argue have like 3 easy outs in their lineup. And I know Jose Abreu has 12 home runs, but that's an easy out. And there's 2 other guys you could say are easy outs too. So the Phillies just have that depth that I always like to look at. They don't have, Wheeler's the ace. He's not as good as Corbin Burns, so I'm not trying to make that argument. But I think having guys like Taijuan Walker and then Noah, I know he's
been bad.
I know. I know I keep saying he's going to turn around, but regardless, even like Ranger Suarez is like a nice pitcher. Like he's a guy that a lot of the Dodgers would love to have right now. I don't know if I trust Craig Kimbrell in the playoffs entirely just because he's old, he's so inconsistent. But the rest of that bullpen's solid enough. I don't know. It's hard for me to find that weakness with the Phillies.
I think if you were to ask Braves players secretly, because they never say it publicly, when you get asked this question, you don't give an answer. But like if you were to ask them, who is the last team you want to see in the playoffs? I think they'd say the Phillies before the Dodgers. Like I just like that, especially like recently, like with all the Dodgers, decimation of the pitching staff, like, and the Phillies having just knocked them out last year. I'd be terrified to play the Phillies. I would hope by the time it comes around and I'm playing playoff games because they're gonna have the bye, that the Phillies are knocked out. That's not a team. That's the one team to me in the NL right now that can really give them trouble.
I feel like you're always scared of the team you're really familiar with. That divisional opponent that over a 162 you're better than, but you get them in a 5-7 game series, things can get really dicey. Yeah, I think that we've reached a point in the list, really. You could say it. You could talk about it with any team after the Braves. Every team we're listing has one legitimate weakness that like we look at and go, will cost them in October. But one of these teams will not be affected by that. One of them is going to make a deep run through October, not like whether it's Orioles starting pitching, Phillies, pitching depth, Dodgers pitching. Like one of these teams is going to find their footing. It is bizarre considering how much money they've spent and how high profile players they have, how quiet the Phillies have been this year. They've just been consistently good, consistently ascending. I think they actually benefit from the fact that the Braves are just like the sexiest team in baseball. And they do historically great things on a nightly basis. Those sample sizes shrink when you get to October. I have no problem with them at 7.
Yeah, Chris, and even push back a bit, like you talk about the weaknesses. The Orioles are a really pretty complete team, like I got to say. But I don't think the Phillies have a weakness. I'm not saying they have the greatest strengths, but I don't think they have a weakness.
Well said.
I won't disagree.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Where you could call the Dodgers starting pitching is a weakness.
A huge weakness right now. And it's not by any fault of their own. The team was constructed properly. Just guys fell apart.
Yeah. The Phillies are very likely to be the 4 seed in the National League, which means they would almost surely be playing the Braves if they advanced through the wild card round. Now, interesting enough with how much the Dodgers have struggled, have they struggled enough where they can lose grasp of the 2 seed in the bye? Probably not, which means that fucking fastest way to the playoffs, the 2, 3, 6 side of the bracket is way easier if you've got Dodgers, Brewers, and whoever that 6th wild card team is.
Yeah.
Where you're talking about Phillies, Cubs, and Braves on the other side of the National League bracket.
Yes.
Now you're looking to play yourself into the 6th wild card. I'd want to stay as far away from the Braves as possible. It's not crazy to think that the Brewers have like a pretty easy path to the NLCS.
No, this should be that front 3.
I almost wonder if they have to redo the rules for the playoffs because having that final wild card is in a lot. You're just in a lot better spot. You're gonna,
Yeah, what they should do as well as reseed after that wild card round, I feel like would be best option.
Not repeating, I think, is crazy. I think the top seed should play the lowest.
Yeah, 100%. Like the fact that we're just talking about how the Braves would have to play the Phillies is it potentially is like they don't want to fucking do that. Like they should have to play. I don't know. They should play the lowest wild card, like the seventh. I don't know. It's just I don't think it benefits you too much right now to be like that one. Besides like the bye, like you're going to a gauntlet, like you said, like you'd much rather be on the other side of the bracket.
So I'll take 8th here, and I like the Phillies at 7. And at 8 now, I want to pull in something Clemmer's considered is they're for sure going to the playoffs. The Brewers do have a materially higher chance of going to the playoffs. It's like 98, 99%, where the Blue Jays are 75%. The Blue Jays have been very hot. I think 7 of the last 9 or 8 of the last 10, and we're starting to see what we want from them. But they still, I'm not putting them ahead of the Brewers. If they played each other 5 games, 7 games, I still like the Brewers brand of baseball. Even if the Blue Jays are more talented and they're playing hot right now, I'm inclined not to just steamroll the Blue Jays into 8 and put the Brewers 9. Like I think I think the Blue Jays have done enough to get into this ranking consistently. We should acknowledge how well they've played recently at the most important time of the season, but enough to give it away from the Brewers after they lose a series to the Pirates, but they look good in Yankee Stadium. I have to go Brewers.
I think it's very fair, Carl. And like you said, the Blue Jays are only a game and a half up in the playoffs, and they lose 3 out of 4. They could be on the outside looking in. And the Brewers are absolutely going to make the playoffs and probably going to win the division. So, I have no problem with the Brewers 8 here at all.
Excellent.
Same. Yeah. No, I even had them a little bit higher in my rankings, but I'm totally fine with them here. I think you can flip-flop no matter how you want. But yeah, Brewers are going to make the playoffs. They're going to win that division. And you have no idea. Like you said, the Jekyll and Hyde Blue Jays right now, you're seeing a good version of them.
Hubs, you get to watch the Blue Jays, or Hubs is watching the Brewers right now as we're recording this. They're at Yankee Stadium. I think they've outscored you guys 17-4 in those 2 games. What are your impressions? This is probably the first time you've watched them this closely against the Yankees this season.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like I haven't watched these games with the most, with the biggest, microscope. Like I'm pretty checked out at this point with Yankees baseball. And after that Tigers loss on Thursday, they pretty much did them in. But their offense, despite what we say about them, like it's a relentless. They play a relentless brand, and maybe that's the fact. Just the Yankees pitching just isn't there right now. But they're putting up 8-9 runs a game here in these first 2 games, and it's just kind of an avalanche. Like you almost like you check. You have like notifications on, just like Brewers dunking another blue pit 3-2, 4-2 another blue pit 4-2, 5-2, basically 6-7-2, basically a double. It's just like, what the fuck? It was just a tie game like 30 seconds ago. Like that's kind of what's just been happening. So you have to tip your cap, and they're going to have the good pitching. And if they're hitting, just gets hot in October, they're a really, really good spot because that pitching is not going to go away. So, but when you look at their hitting on paper, and it's like, well, can't you just see them in their playoff series in October, and then they scored 1 run the whole series? Like, yeah, you can also see that too. Like, I'm not really saying much here. There's not much substance behind what I'm saying, but I just don't really know what to think about the Brewers. But what we do know is they're going to be in the playoffs, and they're deservingly be the 8. What I will say quickly is I assume we're going all Blue Jays 9 here.
That's who I had.
I have one more note on the Brewers.
Okay, one more note.
Brewers are dead last in the National League in slugging percentage. Like, that's just wild that they are this good. And I just want to give Craig Counsell like a little hat tip here. Like, what he's doing with this team is incredible with that offense. Like, Hubs, you're right. They do score runs. They're 9th in the National League in runs. I mean, that's not good, but it's better than 15th in slugging percentage because they're hitting guys over. They're moving guys, sacrifice. Like, they don't have many opportunities because they're so horrible offensively. But I think they make the most out of the opportunities more than, say, almost any other team besides the Braves, or the National League. They make the most of what they have. What they have, though, is very, very, very sad offensively.
Yeah, but we're all going Blue Jays down. I don't think I even have a 10th this week.
No, I didn't either.
And that's crazy to say because the Texas Rangers have been in this power rankings for weeks, months on end.
They're barely squeaking by Oakland right now. Like they're a team void of any confidence. I have Blue Jays 9 as well. And now part of it is their last 3 series, I believe, have been against Colorado, Oakland, and Kansas City. Going to bump those numbers up a little bit. but I'm kind of starting to bizarrely believe in them again. I will say though, I want to just throw a quick, shout out. The Arizona Diamondbacks have finally got off the mat after that really, really brutal stretch that they had. And ultimately, you talk about a team that could be a little bit dangerous in October. Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly going back to back. If they pitch the way that they have in Wrigley Field this week, where Gallen was otherworldly, complete game shutout, they become a little bit more dangerous if they sneak in. Not quite a top 9 team. I don't even know if they're a top 10 team. But man, they were the worst team in baseball for like a month plus, and it seems like they finally, rounded into form again. Good for them.
2 quick notes here, Chris. You're absolutely right. Diamondbacks are playing really well right now. They play my Mets for 4 games in Citi Field. That could be easy way to get 3 out of 4. That Mets team, we're scuffling right now, so all year. But like that could be easy way to pick up 3 wins. One series I really want everyone to pay attention to start next week: Rangers at Blue Jays. That series is wild. I mean, the Blue Jays could basically slit the throats of the Rangers right in front of our eyes, or this wild card race could really shake up. I'm really excited for that series to open things off.
If I know my Blue Jays, they'll get swept. All the momentum. Here we go. Toronto playing great baseball. Winners of 7 of 10. Back in the playoffs. No, but we'll see. I don't know. Texas is playing terrible.
Oh,
it's a 4-game series too.
Is it a 4-gamer? Oh my goodness.
4-gamer in Toronto. Scherzer, Montgomery, Uvalde scheduled to go Monday. They don't have a starter at the moment. Against Bassett, Ryu, Kikuchi, Gosman.
Scherzer was fucking awful last week. Dude.
Awful, terrible.
And so was Uvalde.
Yeah, at least that was his first start back, but Jesus. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but you trust him in the second start?
The point I wanted to bring up, and Chris, you were saying, Toronto's played a fairly easy teams to get going here, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is their end to the season. This 4-gamer against Texas, 3 against Boston. That's the easiest team here. They're pretty checked out. They're going to start playing some weird guys in their lineups. At the Yankees, at the Rays, home to the Yankees, home to Tampa.
Well, the Yankees are junk.
But they're going to be playing spoiler. Like those teams, those aren't like, just ask the Astros how that went. It's not a great time. Like when you have young kids running around the field, do they suck? No doubt. No doubt. But you don't think the Yankees want to spoil the Blue Jays season?
Let me ask the Brewers how it's working out. I'll give them a call in the show.
We took the weekend off. It's raining here. It's humid. It's not.
If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm not too scared to play the Yankees. I'm looking forward to that.
If there's one team the Yankees want to fuck up their season with now that Boston's out, Toronto. They would love to take out Toronto. There's going to be some extra juice there. They have 1% juice left in their season. They're going to use it on these Toronto series.
I'm excited to see the Aaron Boone farewell tour. That'll be a nice little stretch there the last couple.
Just wait till he's back. I guarantee it.
I want to point something out. A couple weeks ago, Chris Clemmer and I did award predictions, and we said Justin Steele, when he had the 3rd or 4th best odds, would be the NL Cy Young Award winner. Since that show, he's thrown 21 innings, given up 1 earned run, walked 3, struck out 26. The Cubs are 2-1 on those starts. They lost yesterday 3-2, but he went out and pitched his balls off.
Yeah, in extra innings when they gave up runs. It was 1-1 in the 9th. Justin Steele is a beast.
After Gallen threw the 1-0 complete game shutout, he went back and didn't match him pitch for pitch. But as we talk about the Cy Young storylines, I've had my eye on Justin Steele starts, and the last 3 have been marvelous. Checked every box you want when you're putting together the storyline of the unheralded Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, that guy came in the office, and I thought he was just a country singer or something.
He is going to shove in the playoffs, too. He's exactly what you want in the playoffs. Throws strikes, doesn't seem to get intimidated.
Not at all.
Also, wildly talented. He's what you want in a game 1. That's why, the Cubs get in there, man, and I think they're going to. I wouldn't want to play in the wild card round with Justin Steele going. Potentially 2. I guess it's best of 3, but pitching one of those games right there. That's not what I would want to see.
He's the kind of guy how they do Trent's heart rate when he's covering golf, and or Frankie's when you watch the Islanders, they're 190, which is they should be treated at the hospital. I feel like Justin Steele on the mound in a postseason game at Wrigley, just chilling, nothing, just an every other day, just no problem. All right, he's gonna throw. We're just having a catch. Just gonna catch with the catcher. That's it. That guy I feel like is built for October. And a month we'll probably go back to these and he gave up 10 runs in the first inning or something. But he just, to me, seems like a guy who's calm, cool, and collected, like Clemmer said, and that's a guy I would definitely trust with the ball.
So they're just on the outside. They could get swept by the Diamondbacks today. It's been a bad couple days. The playoff odds are still high for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, they're still in. They're in a good spot. Yeah.
I liked our point, though, that like there's 9-10 teams. It's this top 9 is the top 9. And there is a gap between where we start that 10 and 15, where other times we've come in here and had to struggle over who that 9th team is. Not really so much. A lot of shakeup this week, too. Probably some of the most shakeup we've had in like a month and a half on the top 9. But I like where we're at. I think this is very reflective of where we're heading towards the postseason.
Agreed.
Any closing comments?
Not really. I do. Yeah, I think listen, this was I guess I totally agree. This is the top 9. And I can say that with more confidence maybe than any list we've made this year. And I actually really like this list. I think this is maybe the best job we've done so far.
Subscribe where you guys find the show. This is Barstool Baseball. This is the Power Ranking Show. We're going to be back on Wednesday for a special conversation. Stay tuned for that. But most importantly, guys, subscribe to the show. Playoffs are around the corner. Football across the NFL starts today. This is the best time ever to be a sports fan. We're going to be with you through the rest of the Major League season. Like I said, subscribe. Until then, we'll see you guys on Wednesday.